Tonight, the Twitter files, new emails and documents reveal just how intense the debate inside Twitter in 2020 was, as the company went to great lengths to suppress a New York Post story about Hunter Biden and his laptop. That laptop contained a trove of personal and business emails that critics claimed were proof of corrupt activity by both Joe and Hunter Biden, and which Trump supporters say would have impacted the election if not censored. Well, the communications were obtained by writer Matt Taibbi. They show the internal debates over removing links to the story, labeling the story unsafe, and locking out accounts that tried to share the story. In one exchange, a top Twitter official says in part, quote, "I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe." And the files show this, that at least one Democratic congressman tried to sound the alarm. Khanna emailing Twitter's top lawyer at the time, in part, and I quote, Khanna, "This seems a violation of the First Amendment principles. I say this as a total Biden partisan and convinced he didn't do anything wrong. But in the heat of a presidential campaign, restricting dissemination of newspaper articles, even if the New York Post is far right, seems like it will invite more backlash than it will do good." And Congressman Khanna is out front now. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Your first television interview since I saw this. And you know, I saw this. And really, I read it many, many times because you really stood up for what you believe is true. So let me start here, Congressman. That was what you said then. You had only limited information at the time, right? You just knew that it was being suppressed and you wanted to make a statement. Has anything that you have learned so far from the Twitter investigation in the past hours and days surprised you?
Erin, what surprised me is that Twitter made the decision in the first place to censor. Look, liberal Democrats should be for the principle of standing up for First Amendment speech. And New York Times Sullivan said, we want speech to be open, uninhibited, wide-ranging. Now, I get Twitter's a private actor, but they're effectively a modern public square. And it was disappointing to me that they were suppressing the New York Post.
And based on the communications that we have that were released, you are the only Democratic lawmaker who said that. You spoke up. You told Twitter to reconsider it. You said you didn't think it was right. You stood up for the First Amendment. Your email was thoughtful and definitive. Are you disappointed that you're the only one?
Well, look, we've all written emails, and I'm glad that they released that one. I'm sure I've written things that aren't as thoughtful. But when I read it, I said, I stand by every word. I mean, I got into politics partly because I believe American democracy is great when we have everyone have a voice to stand up and participate in speech. And I do hope more Democrats will stand up for the broader principle, which is we want to have forums that don't have censorship, that allow for all perspectives.
So Twitter's deputy counsel, Jim Baker, also defended Twitter's actions to suppress documents at the time. Again, this is according to the documents that we have. And what he said in part is this: there are some facts that indicate the materials may have been hacked, while there are others indicating that the computer was either abandoned or the owner consented to allow the repair shop to access it for at least some purposes. We simply need more information. Now, of course, Congressman, we know the laptop was real now. There were weekly meetings between the FBI and Twitter during this time, where the FBI warned Twitter about hack and leak operations that would involve Hunter Biden. Do you think the FBI's actions deserve further investigation?
I would focus on the speech part of it. Look, no one is saying, at least I'm not saying, that any of the sensational pictures or photographs concerning Hunter Biden should be out there. That's not what this was about. This was about a journalist at the New York Post writing an article about the situation. And there's no justification for suppressing that. Even if the source of that had gotten that information through something that was hacked, that was the case of the Pentagon Papers. Journalists should be allowed to publish things as long as they aren't participating in the hack.
Right, which is obviously important. Do you have concern, though, and I understand you're focused on the First Amendment part of it, but do you have concern that part of the reason it appears Twitter suppressed it was because the FBI was sort of leaning on this idea of Russian disinformation, hacking, and Hunter Biden?
Well, I would say let's be transparent about everything. I would be very surprised if the FBI was doing that under the Trump administration, given that President Biden at the time was just a candidate, didn't have control over the levers of government. But I think it's perfectly appropriate to ask the question and to have full transparency and let the facts come out. And so the FBI should explain what they were doing and what the rationale was. I certainly hope that and expect that they weren't trying to do it to bias Twitter against or for a particular candidate.
Certainly, that will be crucial. And now, look, we're here, Congressman Khanna, and it's funny because when I saw this, it was the middle of the night, I woke up, I said, look, it's an amazing email that you wrote. And we're here talking about how you stood up for the Constitution and for the First Amendment. And as your email came to light in these Twitter files, former President Trump saw the Twitter files, and he took those same files to call for the termination of the Constitution based on these documents. On his social media platform, he wrote in part, "A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution." That's what he said. What do you say to him?
I was both saddened and deeply concerned. It's sad to me that he doesn't understand what makes America great. What makes us great is precisely our Constitution, is precisely our First Amendment. It's why I would stand up for even Donald Trump to have speech as long as it's not inciting violence, and his supporters to have speech.
Congressman Khanna, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for speaking to me.
Thank you, Erin. Really appreciate it.